Hello, everyone. Welcome to Metaverse Degen Live. This is our first ever show. We have a few things prepared for you all. First, we have Kale Paka performing to open up the event for a little while, and then afterwards, we're going to have a live interview with a podcaster right here from VR Chat named Jake Phobia, who runs he runs his own not another podcast. I think it is. No, hold on. He runs another podcast here in VR Chat, and we're excited to meet him as well. And thank you so very much for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure. This has been 4 years since we've started this venture, and it's been crazy. So I want to say to all, from all of us in the Metaverse Degen, thank you very much for joining us and allowing us into your lives and be able to hear your stories as well as share our own. So with that being said, I'm welcome to introduce the performer for this evening, which is going to be Kale Paka. Alrighty, let me go get him in and ready to go.
All right. Okay, I'm ready whenever you're ready to start. Oh yeah. Are we gonna wait? Are we gonna do an intro speech? Oh, you okay? Got it. Cool. All right. Thanks. All right. I think we're live now. Can everyone hear me? Awesome. All right, let me adjust my camera just really quick, and we can get this show started. One moment here. All right, let's get this show going. All right, thanks everyone for coming. My name is K Alpaca. Mute my in-world mic, so hopefully you're hearing me through world audio still. But yeah, thanks for coming to the first ever Metaverse Degen live event. I'm super honored to be able to perform at Metaverse Degen's first ever event. Super stoked about that, so thank you, Lion, for inviting me. But let's go ahead and get started. Right, that was Over the Rainbow from The Wizard of Oz. But I have a pretty diverse set for you guys today. One of the benefits of being the first performer for a new venue is that you can play whatever you want, but at the same time, you don't really know what to play, right? Because you don't know what the audience is going to be like. So I have a pretty diverse set for you guys, starting off with some classics from the 60s and 70s. So these are, the oldies that everyone recognizes. So hope you enjoy. All right, that was Just the Way You Are by Billy Joel, and the winner takes it all by ABBA. Hope you enjoyed that. Not sure how many of you recognize those songs, but they're true classics, so they stand the test of time. And I'm going to play another classic. I think probably a lot of you have heard of this one before. It's called Autumn Leaves, which is a jazz standard. So hope you enjoy. Test. Oh, there we go. Sorry, that was Autumn Leaves. And for those of you who, I don't know if my mic was muted before, but that was Just the Way You Are by Billy Joel and Winner Takes It All by ABBA. So hope you enjoyed those classics. They're all from the 60s and 70s. I actually technically think the Autumn Leaves original is from like the 40s or 50s or something. It's a jazz standard, so I don't remember when exactly it's from. But, it's those classics that everyone hopefully recognizes. Hope you enjoyed that. But I'm going to, skip over to the 21st century now and play some of the more modern songs in my repertoire. So hope you enjoy. Gonna maybe start off with some Disney songs. Disney songs is always staple when it comes to piano. So hope you enjoy. All right. That was four songs. Two Disney songs, I See the Light from Tangled, and A Whole New World from Aladdin. And then followed up by Thousand Years, and along with Easy on Me by Adele. So hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to continue on with a few pop songs. Let's do, let's play some songs maybe from the 2000s. In the 2010s, something within the past 2 decades or so. Hopefully people can recognize it. Right, that was I Ain't Got You, and then some Joji, Glimpse of Us. Hope you enjoyed that. And this thing, uh, using finger tracking is a challenge. Okay, I'm done with it. Okay, good. So yeah, using finger tracking is a challenge. Sometimes I randomly trigger interfaces in the world because I just double tap things randomly while I'm playing the piano. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Some Joji along with some pop music. Well, I think we are, let's see, I think we have like 12 more minutes. All right, so let me, I have to insert some my weeb side into my set, so gotta play some Japanese music. And what I'm going to play is I'll play some Vocaloid. I'm not sure if any of you are into Hatsune Miku or Vocaloid music, so on and so forth. But I'm going to play a song called Kokoro Nashi. Hope you enjoy. All right, that was Kokoro Nashi. Hope you enjoyed that. Um, Coming to the end of my set, I think it's like the last 10 minutes or so. Thank you so much for coming to the event and listening. I do again want to give a shout out to the Metaverse Degen network as well as Lion for inviting me here and allowing me to perform for the first ever live event. It's such an honor. I'm so happy about it and so happy that all of you were able to make it here as well. But one thing that I'll say is that, the way that I actually got to know Lion is actually completely unrelated to music. As I think most of you hopefully knows, he does this series on YouTube. It's a podcast series where he goes and interviews various artists, right, and people who are active on VR chat and doing their own thing, and super interesting. And last year he actually went and interviewed a few Japanese people, and I actually was helping him out as an interpreter. So that's why I ended up getting to know him and got involved in this community, which I'm really really honored to be part of. But really, really impressed with everything that Lion is doing, and the fact that he's sometimes, as all of us know, it can be a grind, right? But he's doing some really, really good work. So please go check him out. Check out his interviews on YouTube and his network. And I'm very confident that he'll be even more successful in the future. So that being said, I want to close out my set with 2 songs. So so far, all the songs that I played are covers, and I do love playing covers. It's so fun to play the songs that you love, and just being able to play it yourself. It's something I really really enjoy as a pianist. But at the same time, there are also original songs too, right? So I have some original songs. Some of my friends, let me get this out of the way. No, wait, what happened? Oh, no, what happened? Wait. But yeah, like some of my friends, I'm gonna reset here. But yeah, some of my friends also have original songs too, which is super cool. There you go. And I'm going to play one song from one of my friends, and one of my original songs too. Because I play covers, I really enjoy playing my friends' songs. I think it's really cool that you're creating original music in VR chat, especially with today's day and age where there's so much AI slop that's out there. It's really great to see real people in VR chat actually composing music, making new songs, and I want to support them. So I play covers of their songs, obviously with their permission. So that being said, what I'm going to play is a song called Someone New. It's by Starheart. I'm sure a lot of you have maybe heard of her. She's a lot more active than I am in VR chat, and she does have a lot of original songs, and she's a good friend of mine. So I'm going to play one of her original songs called Someone New. Hope you enjoy. All right, so that was Someone New by Starheart. Please check out her socials, and you can look look her up pretty easily on YouTube and Twitch and so on if you don't know her already. She's an incredible musician and a good friend of mine. And for my final song, I'm actually going to play one of my original songs. This one's called Raining on the Moon, and it was actually the opening song for I know how many of you know Rain Dance Immersive. It's kind of this VR arts and film festival that is held annually in VR. And last year, I teamed up with a community called EMM Records in Japan. And I wrote a song for a set that actually got nominated for the Best Music Show Award. So pretty stoked about that. I'm going to play the song that was the opener for that particular show. It's called Raining on the Moon. Hope you enjoy.
Hi.
All right, this UI, get out of the way. But yeah, hope you enjoyed my performance. It's a pretty wide variety of songs from a lot of different genres, but hope you enjoyed. And I think for the second half of this show, we have an incredible guest for the show who will be interviewing. So that being said, I want to hand it back to Lion for our next guest here on this show. So thank you everyone again for joining and listening to my music. Really, really appreciate it. All right. Oh, thank you.
Oh, no wonder why Jacob's here. What's going on?
Wow.
It's going good. Yeah, man. Oh, you got the couches and everything. You got the leather couches and everything.
Nice tricks.
Oh, wow. Oh, sweet.
No problem.
Yeah, that's the meat and potatoes of it all, right? That's the first. That's the big question. That's the big question. Who am I? I am a random guy on the internet who, just like you guys, I do a VR chat podcast. More particularly, what I do is I will go into a age verified VR chat instance, and I just kind of invite people up who want to talk about, a life story they have, some problems that they're going through, problems that they hurdled over, or even just something more silly under, like they could be like, oh, I found a rock on the side of the road and it was really cool, like it can be very deep and personal and philosophical, and on the other half it can also be silly and nonsensical, and yeah, I take multiple different conversations and I compile them all up, 3 or 4 different conversations, and I post it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and stuff like that. I just make it all into one episode, and yeah.
Ooh. So I do have one question for you. What made you decide to talk with people from public instances? And how has that been going? What have been some conversations that you remember from over the episodes you've released?
There's a lot to unpack there. I think the biggest reason I started, I guess why I picked public
With some of these guests that you've had on, what kinds of topics do they normally open about, or do you ask them specific things when you bring them into your show?
It's all, I leave it all up to them. I have
I'll be
no
honest, that's
idea what
brave.
somebody's going to talk about. I leave it all up to them to come by, and you know, I don't know what people are going to talk about until they're up on stage, really. And I feel like it's usually, it comes down to a lot of like mental health stuff, you know. A lot of people kind of talk about, you know, I guess, for instance, I had somebody just recently come by and they talked about how their mother wasn't supporting their like transition, for example, and you know, they were going through, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, they just, you know, they got the trauma dump, right? So you know, they got to explain their situation to me, and I very much disclaim first off that I am a random person on the internet, you know. Like I don't have any qualifications for this kind of stuff. And then they proceeded to tell me about a buddy in like, you know, a different city in a different state. And I was like, well, this is an opportunity for you to kind of get out and be in a supportive place, you know. And yeah.
Ooh.
Let me think here.
Goodbye.
Can
Nice
you
to meet
reiterate that question again, really quick?
How do
Sorry
you
about that.
decide what kinds of things to talk about, or how do you lead people into conversations? You leave it open to them, or do you let them kind of talk and you ask questions as they go along, or do you kind of let them word vomit whatever they want to say?
Yeah, I duff, you know, and you know, I did like I used to do like different like variety streams and stuff like that, but none of it really like felt. I couldn't hold on to the passion really, you know. Not that it didn't feel like anything felt. I didn't have any like soul in it. Like I didn't feel anything, you know. And I've listened to a lot of podcasts just throughout my life and stuff, and I think you know, I started listening to this one podcast called Therapy Gecko. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Never heard of it, but let me know about it.
So it's this guy who dresses up in a gecko costume, and he paints green face paint over his face, and then he goes on Twitch, and takes anonymous phone calls from people, and asks, and then people get to, kind of like the title says, like they get to like ventilate about their problems and talk about some story that they have, and then it's very I took inspiration from that podcast, and I guess the more I listened to it, I was like, I was like, just the stories alone of what I was hearing, you never know who you're gonna run into. You never know what you were gonna hear. And I don't know, I was just very inspired by that. And I just took a moment and I was like, well, hold on. Like, I could do that in VR chat. Like, I've never seen something like that before. And then I just one day started, at first I would like, go to like, I would go places and do like, I would go to like no time to talk or something, and like find people that way. I had really no idea in terms of the podcast side of stuff how to do that. I tried to make a podcast at one point and it was not, I did like 3 episodes and it wasn't great. But that was just like interviewing random friends, and well, instead of going and finding people, let me tuck myself away in a corner with a sticker that says "Talk to a Spaceman," and that's what my avatar is. I guess I don't know, is this going on like the podcast later, or is this like a strictly like live?
This is gonna be strictly live streamed.
Okay, cool. Then yeah, I'd say "Talk to a Spaceman," and I just wait for. Instead of going towards people, I'd have people approach me, and then eventually I thought about doing like the live stream. I call them like podcast nights, and then that's when I would go into like a public, or I'd make like a public black hat age verified thing, and then people would come by.
Oh, so since you went from talking to your friends and to putting a sticker up waiting for people to come to you, what were some of the people in the beginning that were interested in talking to you? May I ask, were they different varieties of people? How did the conversations go?
I would say in terms of like the structure of it all, that's all pretty much, I feel like that's all pretty much like stayed the same. The style of the one-on-one of conversations, that never went away. I think I've gotten slowly better at talking just in general because of it. I think and I always tell people this too, like if you go and listen to the older episodes of it, like you can tell like I have no clue what's going on.
I understand that was the same way for me when I started. In the beginning, I was garbage at talking with people, come in and be all nervous or not even know conversational skills that well. And I can very much attest to that statement and journey over time. That you do learn quite a lot about yourself doing it. At least I feel like I did.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, so what kinds of people would come up to who would want to talk to you, Mask? After you put the sticker up?
What kinds of people? It was a lot of different kinds of people. Some people were definitely more nonsensical type, and would just kind of. I would say when I first started, it was because I started in no time to talk. It was like all the like nonsensical stuff was very like short, just whatever funny haha stuff. But the people who really were interested in talking more with people who really had some kind of some kind of structure. They had something they wanted to talk about, you know. So I had somebody who wanted to get into like constitutional law, you know. I had somebody else who like was very into like social working. I had another person who was more of like a hippie person and, you know, was very much more on the psychedelic side of stuff and got more philosophical, you know. So yeah, I think a lot of like the shorter conversations were much more just kind of, you know, nonsensical, and then the longer ones were delving into deeper stuff.
Okay. What are some of the conversations on the after you started doing longer podcast nights in public instances? What were some of the things you remember being talked about? What topics have stuck with with the guests you've had on?
Ooh, that's a good one. Are you saying like after the actual discussion happened, like?
Well, after you went from like
What
no
would
time to
we-
talk and shorter conversations into like a more longer form, what kinds of things people have said to you that have stuck with you, or conversations you remember after the change?
Quite a bit, you know. I think a lot of it, you know, because it's VR chat, right? A lot of people kind of talk about the social ins and outs, you know, the ebb and flows of what goes on, you know, all the, you know, a lot of what mainstream media kind of screams out. And you know, I remember asking somebody once, like, you know, in a very like non-biased way, I was like, why do you think trolling happens so much on this game? And like, why do furries get trolled so much? And doesn't make sense. And one of the things he said was like, hate is not a type of person. It's a thing that you do, you know. Hey, like, I don't know. I get very deep. I get very deep naturally. So I'm trying not to like sway down. I'm not trying to get like too deep right now, I guess. But
Feel free to go as
I
deep
guess that was just one example.
deep into it as you want. I want to hear all about it, because I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of the type of podcast I see through, at least from like my own feed, has been a lot of interview style content. Like for example, Rob Roman's Voice, Metaverse Degen, Novid Notes, stuff like that. I see more of, but I haven't seen a whole lot of like the kind of stuff you do where you talk with public people. It is very unique to me in terms of what I find interesting. You don't see that a whole lot, at least for me. I don't. Maybe I feel it's very curated to a very specific thing, but you know, I would love to hear about the kinds of things people would talk about in that, and how you deal with them.
Yeah. I'm sorry if I yap too long.
Oh no, you're on a talk show. How terrible. Don't do that.
Oh no. Oh my gosh. I know. Oh man. When I look back on everybody I've talked to, it gets very overwhelming. You know, you would think that going into a public instance, right, and doing this kind of stuff, you know, you would get a lot of BS. You think you would get a lot of people who are trying to stop you. And sure, it happens sometimes. But, you know, I find 95% of the people who show up for it, you know, don't really either do anything to like mess up what's happening, or, you know, the people who do stick around and end up on the show, you know, I guess you'd be surprised how real and humane people are on this game, you know. And the more I talk to people on here, the more that screams to me, because, you know, I guess the biggest reason I do this podcast, or I guess like as I've realized as I do this thing, is that, you know, VR chat can very much be a place where like the intricacies of human social connection can happen, you know, in places like this, you know. And
I'm gonna be right.
man.
I just need to do something real quick.
Ooh.
I
Honestly, I find that kind of interesting because
go ahead.
as you
Sorry.
hear from people, like people who've been in VR chat a while, their perspective of public instances usually isn't the greatest. Most people think it's gonna be a lot of trolls, people screaming 5-letter gamer words, and that's the kind of perspective a lot of people, especially on the outside, have. So someone like you going into, I guess, the trenches, one would say, talking to people and finding out it's not always like that. I'd say it's a really awesome thing that you're doing. At least I do anyway.
Yeah. Oh yeah, thank you, man.
You're welcome.
I always kind of tell people too, like VR chat is what you make it, you know. And just because we run into people who are trying to ruin our day, I guess I try to tell people, like these kinds of things don't have to they emotionally affect you if you let them, I guess, like simply put, and I understand how like difficult that is for somebody, to try to, I guess, teach themselves, but if you're somebody who really wants to, meet new people, and naturally get to like meet people in VR chat, I mean, you don't have to put your emotion into the kinds of people who are gonna like mess with you,
That's fair. So how have you handled those kinds of people trying to do podcast episodes in public instances? I'd say it's pretty hold on a second. Is broken. Please take 5. Alrighty. We're gonna take a bit of something to go fix the stream. Give me just one hot second. Oh.
It happens.
It happens indeed.
It does happen. I always. Oh wait, no, I don't want to say anything yet.
Alrighty. Well,
this world is very nice, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Cool.
Thank you for your
guys
patience.
Did a great job.
Thank you very much. Code's been working really hard on it, to be honest. It's been in the works for quite a while.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, let's open the conversation back up again to you. With that, what were you expecting going into the public instance conversations, and what kinds of things did you learn from doing them?
What did I expect? I feel like I kind of let myself, not have many expectations, because I feel like if I do set an expectation in a public world, I'm just gonna be I guess disappointed, or I guess I'm like not gonna get the results I want, right? And the results that I want shouldn't have an expectation. And yeah, I guess that just leaves it all up to the discovery of what people are really gonna talk about,
That's a fair point. So doing the podcast on your side, how did your podcast evolve at all in terms of like how you did things, or even episode structure, or anything that changed as you experience the wonderful world of public instances and podcasting it?
Yeah, I mean it has changed a lot. I feel like I got better with audio and stuff. The structure, yeah, I mean, but I feel like just in, because I want it to feel like you're just kind of. I want it to feel like you're just kind of there, and like you're just. I find myself when I look back on like when I listen back to the footage and stuff, I might be like doodling or note taking while I'm listening, and I almost like forget that it's in VR chat,
What do you mean?
Like I guess because like none of the conversations are really about VR chat, they're much more about like our lives, and it goes off into different tangents. I almost like forget. Like I feel like I'm just talking. I feel like I'm just listening to two beings talk to each other. I'm like listening to some conversation, I guess, instead of like, oh, this is like a thing in VR chat.
That's quite interesting. So most people, when you sit down with them, want to have a conversation about outside the headset, not so much what goes on in here.
Yeah, I try to tell people like before like the event starts is I try to tell people like don't necessarily talk about VR chat. you know, in the sense of like, oh, I had some like crazy story, you know, of some guy that crashed out, right? Like it's nothing about that. And I try to tell people like, leave that stuff to the side because we all know, right? We all know how that goes. If people are gonna talk about VChat, I try to have them talk more about like the intricacies of it, like how you see the social climate of it, more or less, than some, you know, shock value story.
That's understandable. So where do the conversations normally go when you do that? Is it usually just about like people, as you said, trauma dumping? Do you hear any wholesome stories or anything like that? Or is it usually you just kind of, once they start on a topic, they run on the topic?
It's a lot, you know. I feel like it's all of those. You know,
Okay.
I feel like you know, it's very how do I explain it? I don't know how to explain it very well. Sometimes it is wholesome. It's wholesome in the sense of you know, like the emotional support side of it all. It's cool seeing everybody like come together in like a public instance, or in a sense where you feel like chaos is just gonna erupt, you know. Yeah, man. Yeah. What was like some of the other I'm sorry. What was some of like the other like questions you had in between it? I know you said like wholesome stuff, but like what else exactly?
What kinds of like topics do people normally bring up? You said before they do a lot of talking about like things that bother them, maybe you said, or alrighty. Yeah. So there were the things people bring up.
Are we good?
I'm not sure. Apparently the Twitch is frozen again.
Oh no.
Well, there's only so much I can do with that. Well, if Twitch doesn't like it, well, everybody on Twitch, I've greatly apologized, but probably, yeah, all right, well, everyone who's on Twitch, please go to the Metaverse Degen YouTube. We're live there. There's a lot less problems over there than on Twitch right now. I have to go fix that because I don't understand Twitch. That being said, please show us on YouTube. We're on Twitch and YouTube.
I did see, like, because you're live on, like, the Metaverse Degen network, and then you're also live on Lion Turtle, right? Like, you're live on two.
Yeah, the funny is I don't know why I'm live on Lion Turtle, because I don't have that one active. Doesn't make sense to me.
Weird. Maybe you. The only thing I can think of is like your stream key is still set, so it's like
maybe
both.
Not sure.
I really when I'm live, I'm like only on the channel. Like I don't do YouTube or TikTok or anything like that. I just strictly have it to one place.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, this was the first time I wanted to try be on multiple platforms, and it didn't. Well, you learn some. Best you can do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. In life, you know, you never stop learning in life. You know.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. Doing this Metaverse DJ thing, I've learned quite a lot myself in terms of like skill sets about people and even myself over time. Yeah. So you know, I find it quite the pleasure to learn from and do, even if I'm in the middle of a live stream. That's whatever.
Yeah, man, I feel the same way with. Just I'm stuttering. Jesus,
it's all good. I
try to get everything out at once. You know.
I understand. I'm the same way.
On April 22nd, it'll be a year since I started doing this. You know, and I just feel like my perspective has just opened up in terms of VR chat. Like I feel like it's interesting because I feel like my world for VR chat has shrunk, but yet I feel like just how much goes on has just expanded, you know? Because before I started doing this, I didn't really know what people were doing. I didn't know about the Metaverse Degen, you know? I didn't know about Nova Notes or Project Community or VRCAs or, you know, all the stuff I know now. And it's like, you know, it's really cool to see. You know, it's so inspiring seeing like what you guys do, you know.
I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
When I started Metaverse Degen, I didn't know any of this stuff either. I was just the player, squirreled away in a Friends Plus instance somewhere in the world. I knew nothing of the VR chat communities, the musicians, uh, any of the groups that are called this place home that we've had the pleasure of learning about. I had no idea about any of them. I just would sit there and talk with Raptor, Lolly, Zero, and my friends, and just hang out in a world, and it's just talking about almost everything. No idea. So over time learning this, it has been quite the experience. What kinds of so was it during the podcast you started learning these things, Mask, over this last year? And congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, after I started, I feel like, after the first couple episodes, I just started to get more curious about what others were doing. So of course, first I looked up if there were other VR chat podcasts, and yeah, I just stumbled upon your guys's and, Nova Notes and Final 3 Brain Cells and, Virtual Focus and all these other, I just kept looking through what everybody was doing, really, and it's interesting because it's such a niche in a niche for VR chat. I feel, like what we do, there's just not a lot of podcasts that really commit to making podcasts, like you said earlier. So I don't know. I think maybe going back to the beginning of I think like not really feeling the passion for something in the past for me. I think the more I started to understand this concept of what I was doing, I was like, okay, wait, this is something, there is something here. And I don't know, I think being inspired by Therapy Gecko and all this stuff and just being so moved by what people were talking about, it's been a journey, I guess.
I'm sure it has.
It's super cool.
What was your perspective like before doing the podcast about VR chat, and how has it changed now, almost a year later?
I think it was a little more closed-minded. I feel like, I've wanted to be a mindful person, and my observation of what mindful was not necessarily to its truest, form. And I had some rough, I had to let go of some people in my life just prior, and I don't know, I feel like I was very much on my own right before I started the podcast, and in terms of being online and stuff. And I'm sorry, my brain is trailing. Can you repeat your question again?
It's all good.
I just worked 10 hours and now I'm trying to get
Well, that's okay. Sorry to make you converse about things for 10 hours after a 10-hour shift. I asked, how has your perspective changed about VR chat prior to the podcast versus now?
Right, okay.
I can speak on my own perspective. I saw VR chat more as a game than I have on anything else. So I didn't really think about communities and interactions. So I'm curious to how you felt and thought about things as you experienced it yourself.
Oh yeah, no, especially with VR chat, seeing it as a game, I feel like, and I feel like a lot of people think this way with VR chat, right? It's like, oh, you get on and you escape. You get on and, it's a distraction, and that's all it is. And then all of a sudden, I've had the responses of people being like, what, how could you even begin to do something like this? Why are you doing this in VR chat? Why are you doing this? And I just feel like what is this? I have a panel in front of me. Hold on.
Oh, that panel is the whitelist panel for the control of things like the camera and world stuff. We have hidden behind the whitelist.
I'll set it there. Set it there. I never saw it.
It's all good.
I had that same perspective in just my life and VR chat, in the sense of okay, what I am witnessing is that's how the world works. That's how VR chat works, right? So yeah, VR chat's very much a game. You escape, you distract yourself, there are tons of weirdos in this game and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think just the more I started to talk to these people, I started to realize, well, okay, wait, you know, you can have VR chat, you know, be something that is mindful. You can have it doesn't have to be a distraction. You can delve into the things that you need to talk about. You can delve into, you know, if the group is there, obviously you can delve into the things that you really want to learn more about, right? And even if we have this this understanding of VR chat in the world, like that is only your perception, right? And so, you know, I guess I started to realize that just because I have my own brain doesn't mean that somebody else is going to see this world differently, right? You know, just because I don't understand the way somebody operates doesn't mean that it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense to me, you know? So instead of projecting this feeling I have towards something, right? Like, oh, VR chat's the scorch of the earth or whatever. All of a sudden it's like, okay, well, let me learn more about this. You know, what can make this good, you know? Yeah, I see that a lot. I see that a lot with people, you know? That's why I say VR chat is what you make it. I encourage people, like, just because something is so like absurd or weird to you, you know, it doesn't mean that it doesn't make sense to somebody else. You know, there are so many multitudes of perspectives to anything, right? People will be like, oh, VR chat is not that deep, right? But why? Why can't it be that deep? Right? Why can't we talk about our problems? Why can't we talk about our stories? Just because you see this as an escape, that doesn't mean that it can't be about something more, right? And I've started to switch out the perspective that VR chat substitutes, you know, an escape, and instead it adds to my life. I have my life of the things that I do, but then, you know, if I'm hopping in VR chat and I'm doing this podcast, or I'm, you know, with friends and doing whatever I do, like it's just an addition, you know.
Yeah. You know, one of the things I hear a lot in VR chat is the journey that VR chat takes you on from when you start. For example, I'm going to use one of my friends. I won't give them names just for privacy, but they start off as a mute. And when they came into VR chat, they kind of were mute. They were very shy. And over the course of like interacting with people and being a part of communities and doing things, they end up opening up and like having more confidence themselves and speaking. And over time, a lot of people tend to have that kind of a journey here. At least, like, for example, if you like music, you come into VR chat, you meet a guy who plays a piano in a public instance, and the next thing you know, you're being pulled to like musician communities, and then you grow as a person. VR chat is a way of grabbing you a lot of the time and pulling you on a journey, whether you want to or not, if you decide to take it openly.
Yes, absolutely. It's funny because I write a lot of my thoughts down too, you know. I write a lot of stuff down. And yeah, I mean, it's silly to me that we have such, it's silly to me that, you know, that mainstream media has, well, it's silly to me that like people in VR chat just have such a narrow focus on what happens, you know. And that's why I love seeing like what you do, and, you know, like Novodots, and I could say it all over again, obviously, right? But like, you know, and that's why I love seeing like what you do, and, you know, like Novodots, and I could say it all over again, obviously, right? And it was something like it was over $1 million, you know, but yet when you look at mainstream media and what, you know, people, especially on the outside, or just users who see what is mainly posted, you're never gonna like see that and think that, oh, what a great accomplishment. You're just immediately gonna go back to this crazy perspective, you know, that is such a small amount compared to the whole of what VR chat really is.
I think VRChat is a victim to the algorithm in which what people want to see. And a lot of the time, if you boil
I
it
like
down, it's
that.
like things that make them angry, scared, or an extreme emotion usually is what the algorithm of any sort will try and feed you, because you're more than likely to click something if you're angry, scared, or some like high tense emotion. You're more likely to click it and engage with it more. So the algorithm sees those things, whether it's like vanilla ice cream's the best ice cream, how dare you? And then because you engaged with and watched it, that goes, oh, this person really likes watching videos about how awesome ice cream is, not knowing you really don't like vanilla ice cream. It will blindly show you that. And so a lot of VRChat's image, I feel tinfoil hat is kind of tied to that. But in terms of
I
like
agree.
communities,
It's a great analogy.
at least that's what I think about it anyway. But with how many episodes have you done, Mask, trailing off this topic?
As of right now, I am at 38.
38 episodes.
I have 3 episodes right now, just small. As of 2 of them are a lot. They're probably going to be 2 of the most serious episodes that I've done. It's
really?
interesting because like I think I've really tried to push, the invitation to have people come and talk more about their problems. And I feel like what happens a lot of the time is people come up on stage and right there in front of a lot of people, and it's hard for people to like ventilate out, right? And so I very much tried to tell people like, hey, like we need to talk about these things in VR chat because no one does, and I feel like it's taken a turn. So yeah, there are some more heavy episodes that are going to be coming out over the next couple weeks. So I should be at 42, I think. 42 or 43 by the time my 1 year, of doing this rolls around. And then I'm making another video as like a thank you compilation thing with like a special little thing at the end.
Oh, well, congratulations on making it this far. I'm always impressed by at least the VR chat podcasts that stick it out past a year. You, Nova Notes, Rob Robo, and Voice. It's nice to see things like that. So these 3 episodes you got coming out, what stands out about them, and how did you handle such heavy topics?
One of them goes very deep into grief, goes very deep into loss. And I think I handled it well because I've experienced a lot of grief. I've experienced a lot of loss. I was able to empathize with this person, and just be able to kind of sit with the intensity. And I get with some of these things, it's a very intense thing for some people to talk about. And I don't know. I think just over time too, I've been able to handle some of these like more intense things, even if I haven't really experienced them in my own life. I can still kind of sit with them and try to ask questions in a more like clear sense and make sense of what they're going through, and then just kind of bounce off of them. I don't like saying that I give advice to people. It does happen, but I just want to like disclaim that my advice should be taken with a grain of salt because I'm just a random person. I'm no therapist. This isn't therapy. It's simply just like an emotional support thing.
I remember Raptor told me on a number of occasions, he says, I can tell you how to walk my road, but I can't tell you to walk yours because your road is not my road. And I very much can empathize with that when someone's going through stuff. I can give you advice that works for me, but it won't necessarily work for you.
Exactly. Raptor, I love listening to Raptor on your guys' podcast.
He has such a voice for radio. I'm going to be honest with you.
He does. Yeah, he does.
Oh, so what other heavy topics was covered in the other 2?
How do I explain it? I guess forced abandonment, I guess, to put it. It's hard to describe. I guess going through unfortunate events that we can't control is going to be one of the other ones. And then, I guess for the third, it would be it would be more grief, more loss, and it would be unfortunate circumstances of family, I think, is what it comes down to.
That's fair. I'm sure those were really heavy conversations, as you said, hearing from the little teaser of the conversation. I hope those guests are okay.
Yeah, no, at the end of it all, yeah. One of them is still currently going through grief, for sure. And I is when somebody when I have like a really impactful conversation with somebody, I make sure I try to go back and like check in on them and, see how they're doing. And yeah, the other two are very, what they had been through was kind of over in a sense, but it lingers on. It's dealing with, the progression of life after everything has happened. And no, I think they're both very well-rounded people. I'm not worried about them, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Some people, yeah, I get a little worried, but yeah, with them, no, they were good.
I would say on a platform like yours, talking about those really difficult, tough subjects is quite the, I'd say, brave thing to do for a person coming on and airing to the world, here's what's bothering me. So I will give your guests, if any of them are watching, you're very brave for letting those things out for one reason or the other. So I'll give you huge kudos for talking about things most times. At least speaking for myself, most people don't want to talk about those things. Usually they stay off in the closet back over that way where they'll live forever.
Yeah, man. And that's exactly why I do what I do. It's because we're all stashing it away when we're on here, So, why not provide that side where people can really come out and understand that they're not alone going through what they're going through.
Well, I will say thank you for doing the episodes you do for things like that in the public instances. I like seeing VR chat being put in a positive light, especially in public instances where those have a rough reputation, as is.
Yeah.
Oh, so may I ask, from what led to you starting the podcast? May I ask, because I've been looking at your name in the group above, Practicing a Podcast. It's a very unique name, I will say.
Oh. Are you asking like the origins of the podcast or the origins of the name?
Both.
Okay. Oh, okay. So the origin of the name Practically a Podcast kind of started with an old friend group where I would just kind of yap with them, and I'd go live on Twitch just for the fun of going live on Twitch, and I'd play like Forza Horizon 5. But it wasn't about playing Forza Horizon 5. It was just about like, yeah! It was just like with buddies. And so I just titled it Practically a Podcast. And then as time went on, when I started doing the when I started actually thinking of this idea, I started to realize that because this podcast is about anything people want to talk to, I felt like that name still kind of fit, because people get to talk about practically anything. It makes sense to call it Practically a Podcast. The official name of it is Practically a Podcast, a VR chat podcast. And then my name, I don't know how, is this, I was going to talk about some natural drugs. I don't know. What's my line, I guess, in terms of, what I can talk about?
I think, talk about whatever. As long as you're not going to get yourself in trouble or legal issues, go for it.
Okay. So, I was, the name behind Jake Phobia is pretty funny. When I was at a family ski camp with a buddy of mine, because we both snowboard. Met him in VR chat, actually, funny enough, and I taught him how to snowboard. And we decided to take some mushrooms. And we thought it'd be a great idea to throw Adventure Time on. And I started to trip out, and I saw Jake the dog and we thought it'd be a great. And so I was like, holy shit, I have a Jake phobia. And I was like, that's a great name. And then I started to try to write it down, and then I kind of wrote cursive somehow, and then some fractals, but I didn't know what I wrote, and then it came back to my brain after the trip was over, and I was like, I'm gonna pick that name.
It's a unique way to get a name, I will say.
It's funny because like it happened right before everything too. My name, and funny enough, before my name was Jake Phobia, it was Goody Two Shrooms, and so I thought it would be a little bit more fitting. I don't know. It just spoke to me. Maybe that's the shrooms talking. I don't do shrooms. I've only done them a few times just to have fun and live a little bit and see God. Not actually. Yeah, you get it. But yeah.
That's fair. So I will ask this then, since that's you mentioned before, you're going to be reaching a year here next month. Reflecting back, did you expect the journey you've been on since you've started everything?
No, not really. I always had the hunch on what I was doing though. I always, as soon as I came up with the concept, I was like, this is something, right? And I just I didn't let myself have the expectation to see where it was gonna go. I'm not driven by numbers. I could still have 10 people following me or whatever, 10 people in the group, and I'd still be doing this. That's not why I'm motivated to do this. And it's amazing getting the response that I've gotten, from all this. But at the end of the day, you can't be motivated by numbers.
I'd say talking to a lot of people who've, at least on my side, the smaller content creators, it's quite easy to get lost in the numbers and get discouraged and look at like, oh, the thing only got so many views, how do I keep on going? And I can understand that, honestly. I have many occasions got trapped by that, but over time you just gotta learn to enjoy what you do first. I remember we were talking with some streamers, actually in a very recent episode. They said some lines of, do what you enjoy first and the people will see.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. It was really good advice, and it's something I learned over the course of the 4 years doing it, and it's something you gotta lean into with what you do, whether you're doing music or content creation, streaming, or whatever. Enjoying it first makes it quite easy to push through whatever it is you're doing, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, you can't let your motivation lie in the response that you're going to get out of it. It has to be the message you're putting out. It has to be what you want the end result to be, and then because the response and the numbers they're out of our control, right? So why would we let that drive us, to keep making what we're making? So when you get low numbers and you're motivated by numbers, you're just gonna be disappointed in yourself,
So how do you feel making a year into the podcast?
It feels good. I feel like I want to go for another year of doing it, and I just want to keep going. I guess mentally for myself, I'm like, I'm gonna give myself 5 years of this to commit to this, and even then, obviously my life will flow in the way it flows, so we'll see where it takes me. But no matter what, I'm just gonna keep making what I make, and the response I get is what it gets. But it feels good. I feel very proud of myself, I guess, for sticking with it, because before this kind of content creation, I just any kind of hobby or thing online, I would always drop it. Something would happen. So yeah, I've come a long way mentally and all that kind of stuff. and it's really cool to see how things have turned out.
So how have you as a person grown from doing the podcast after a year?
I feel more like an adult.
What do you mean?
Like I feel more mature. I feel more emotionally mature. I feel like I've learned I've learned to observe my thoughts rather than let my thoughts take the wheel. You know? Yeah. I think it really boils down to that.
That is a really hard thing to do. At least I'm a person, I'm also a thinker. Letting the thoughts guide you could be an easy thing to get lost into. So being able to control the other side is a really awesome thing to learn. So I'd give you big kudos for doing that.
Thank you.
Expensive claps.
Thank you. Yeah. Part of what I do too is I have I'll have guest co-hosts come on, and you know, I had somebody who was like another content creator, and she came on, and then yeah, she said the same thing. Expensive claps.
The Valve Index is like $300 per pair of controllers. So they're really expensive claps. Each clap here.
These are new too. Like I had a bit of an accident, and these are new controllers. And, yeah, I know how fragile they are. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
Oh no! Please keep on going. I very much also understand the whole controller. I had my own incident. Raptor and I, who is in the instance right now, actually were playing Forced VR a long time ago, and one of the little cannibal guys ran up to me, and I panicked, so I grabbed the spear and thrust my controller directly into my nightstand, and you can just hear the crunch on the other side. You can just hear the crunch through the microphone. Well, I'll say congratulations on making it a year also, by the way. It's
Thank you.
Quite the feat.
Yeah, no, it feels good. And congrats on 4 years of Metaverse Degen, man. That's super cool.
Thank you. It's not something I expected, to be honest with you. I thought Raps and I were talking when you first started. We thought it'd be done after a year.
I know, right? Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know if I was gonna make it a year or not, but here we are.
So what do you got planned for this next year? Now that you're leading into that milestone, what are your plans?
Feel like more video, kind of like video essays, kinda. Whoa.
I don't know what that was.
Are we hotboxing?
Nope. No, I don't think hotboxing is zero. Hit the wrong button when he came in here.
No, he didn't. He brought me in here.
Oh,
me in here, Lion.
Hello.
I'm right here, buddy.
Hello.
How
Yo.
is it going, bud?
How's it going?
It's going.
Hello.
Long time no
Hello.
see. I thought you were gonna make it tonight.
I didn't know if I was gonna make it or not either.
I didn't know if I was gonna make it or not either.
Yeah, when you have a heartbeat, you just kick it and hope the pulse goes sideways. And you're going,
Exactly. Just pound your
"Yay!"
chest a few times.
Just
you know?
pound your chest and go, "Where's my beer?" And I don't even drink beer anymore. Ew. I wouldn't even feed that to my dog. What?
To catch you up, Jake Phobia runs his own podcast. Practically a
Hey,
podcast,
how's
one
it
would say.
going? Way to go.
Good, man. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Where are we into the broadcast? Do I know, or do I just hop in and go, well, sorry, I had to go to the can, and now we had an error?
Yes, we're the broadcast.
Okay. Hi, folks. Okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah.
Oh, you may want to come up on the sofa, by the way, Mr. Raptor. I don't think his
Where at?
platters are not, so you may have
Scooch
to
on
use
up
your... you can sit between us over on the thing. You just have to use
True.
Google Loco and move up,
Oh.
probably.
I'm gonna try not to face through the couch. That'd be
Yep.
good.
Hold on.
Whoa. So, while Raptor finds a seat,
Yeah,
what do you got
finds his
planned for this
brain.
year?
So yeah, more. I guess they're kind of like video essays. More. I think. In terms of what I really want to do is some of the more like deeper, impactful conversations. I want to have more their own episode, I guess, regardless of how long the conversation is. Because usually I'm like, okay, my policy for myself was like, all right, it has to be right around an hour and a half each episode. But I feel like if I restrict myself to that, then I have this really meaningful conversation followed by the most vile, inappropriate, but funny conversation right after it. And it's like, that doesn't work, you know? So I feel like it makes more sense to kind of let episodes be whatever, you know, length they are. But more specifically, like the more, like what I guess if I like under my own judgment, the more like meaningful, impactful conversations. The way I also like do thumbnails and stuff, if I have somebody where like an episode is just them, I bring them to the world I have set for the like podcast logo and stuff, which is where we end up talking usually. And then I get like just I try to get a good picture of just them instead of adding like my avatar and like some background and some crazy expression. It's just them, you know. But yeah, so I have that, and then I don't know. I have a couple ideas in terms of maybe like doing phone calls instead, or you know, if I set up like a Discord server, like having people go through the Discord, you know, to talk there, and then different times, because I get like trying to be at a podcast at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard is tough for people, so I want to try and see if I can do more like pop-up events randomly where like at different times people have a better opportunity to talk.
Well, I wish you the best of luck. So you said something interesting I want to ask about video essays. Are you going to be, what do you plan to do with video essays, Mask, or do you just do them now?
Are you asking like if I've done it in the past, or like,
or what do you plan on doing them in the future? Because you mentioned video essays is one of the things you mentioned. Yeah,
I think it would be more delving into like a philosophical side of VR chat. You know, why we do what we do, why we think the way we think for VR chat and its social climates and stuff, and just kind of try my best to bring the perspective that I have, kind of like what we talked about earlier. And I have some stuff written down too. I don't mind like kind of reading what I have.
Go for it.
Okay, hold on. Uno momento. Like I guess. Let me see here. Sorry. One sec.
It's all good.
Like what we were talking about earlier. Like I would love to make an essay about how VR chat can be something that instead of the perspective of feeling like an escape, it can, instead of, you know, substitute out a feeling of your life, you know, and take away from something else, it adds on to your life, right? And if we're truly aiming to like learn you know, different things, we have to like kind of not let our ego get in the way, because I feel like a lot of people online too, like our behavior almost switches when we get online. You know, that distance, you know, that feeling of a distance between two people, you know, when we're online, it kind of like dehumanizes us a little bit. And I guess what I try to do for the podcast and what I'd like to do for video essays is kind of bring the perspective back that like when you're talking to somebody on here, they are a person with their own lives and multitudes of their own lives, right? And like we get so invested in like arguments and drama and all this crazy stuff, and it's like, what is our emotional efforts really going into? And why are we putting our emotional efforts into them, right? So yeah, I don't know. I want to encourage people to learn more about people, you know, learn what it's like to exist, you know, and just listen to how other people really see their own perspectives of the world, because you never know what you're going to hear.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got one for him. knowing I'm a little late and don't know what the fuck we're talking about. Like nothing new anyhow, right? But that's the way it goes. If you had the opportunity and someone comes over and taps you on the shoulder, not knowing you from Adam, but has watched your stuff and what you've been doing, what advice would you give them if they walked up and go, hey, I want to do what you're doing and everything else? What advice would you give them?
You know, don't I guess it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier, which obviously, you know, I'll recap stuff too. Like,
yeah, I don't know what we're going. You know, I'm surfing here, and the wave just wiped my ass all over the pavement. No big deal, and there was no.
Never let, you know, creating be influenced by external factors of like reaction. You know, never let, you know, somebody's response to something influence how, you know, what you're doing is like validated or not. You know, and I mean, like, constructive criticism is one thing, obviously, you know, but to be fully influenced by numbers, you know, and responses and stuff, it just diminishes any kind of goals that you really have. So, you know, it's important for you to kind of remember to be influenced more about, you know, your inspirations and the message that you're really trying to get out.
Okay. Yeah. I got
do you
that.
want me? Did you want me to like explain like?
No. You're okay. I'll watch the video and catch up in the middle of it somewhere and go, whoops.
Feel free. Well, to give you a bit rough idea to know who we're talking to, he goes into public instances and talks with people, kind of like what we used to do.
What he used to do? Oh my God!
But he does it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, public instances every single episode. Yeah, public instances.
Wow.
Those people and talks.
More power to you. God, that was nuts.
Surprised.
Some of the questions we used to throw out there, you can imagine what people throw. You just look at you going, huh? Are you serious? Yeah. And they walk away and you're going, okay, sure, no problem. More power to you. Way to go. That's cool.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, I let people, like, I do like a live thing, and then later on I like edit it into like different episodes, like multiple conversations into an episode. But I let people come up and like talk about their life, and like I let people come up with something to talk about, and I have no idea what they're going to talk about until they come up. And
yeah, well, wait, see that you're in my boat. I do it all the time to him, and I don't know the person from Adam, what they do, or anything like this. And it's great that way because that's how you get to learn the situation with people in VR and what's going on and how their personality is. Knowing, I'm not a young guy anymore. We won't go there, but
you got some youth left in you.
Yeah, and I've worked in public bars and stuff like this, and you stand behind the bar, you see some stuff that makes your eyeballs going, excuse me, can I put them back in now? They're in the glass next to you. Yeah, it's just worse than somebody's false teeth falling on the floor. It's nuts what you actually see in here, but there's so much that you can actually learn, and there's a lot of it in here, and you can really see it knocking on the door.
I've worked in a similar field in the sense of like I work for a cannabis company, so sometimes I cover in a dispensary, and yeah, I get a lot of oddballs coming in. You know, and I just like, I sonder over people. I'm like, you know, what is this person's life really like? And there was somebody I was talking to at one point. I don't know if they would want me to say their name, so I won't. But they I don't know if you have pens in this world. It'd be better to draw it out. But
I don't have pens, unfortunately.
That's okay. You know, I imagine like a circle, right? And that circle is VR chat. And then let's say you have a couple circles that are halfway in, halfway out of this big circle that contains VR chat, right? And we'll say it's more absurd stuff, right? Trolling, you know, shock value stuff, things that people disapprove of. It's stuff that's getting pushed out, right? And we'll say those tiny little circles are filled in with red. We'll say this whole thing is like red, but the circles are filled in with red. And then you have like a little bit of a bigger circle that's like that's like not outside, but like kind of kissing the line, right? And we'll say it's something like, you know, furries or DJs or, you know, stuff that some people on the outside might think of it as kind of absurd. You know, we'll fill those in, right? and your eyes immediately go to those circles. As an outside observer, they immediately go to those subgroups of people, but yet you have this entirety of, VR chat that is clear, and I liked that perspective a lot because it's so easy for people to just see this. It's so easy for people to see like what is screamed the loudest, and so they just don't give the chance to see what else is really going on, And I think it's up to us. It's up to creators that really go and share these stories with people, right? It's up to us to kind of scream out the side of, the humane side of what VR chats are really all about, and some of the more positive stuff that, VR chat really contains, because it's just so easy for it to be like blindsided by those things that stand out.
It is quite easy to see the things that bother you the most and say, yep, that entire circle is that thing. Because as you said, it's the loudest person screaming. It's very easy to look at the loudest person screaming, go into, like, for example, if you go into a Black Hat instance and you hear someone screaming gamer words or whatever thing bothers you the most, you're like, yeah, I'm leaving the instance. That kid, this instance is that, and you're gone. And you never know who or what's in an instance before you even leave most of the time.
We call it overjudging the instance before it actually happens.
There's a philosophy name for it. It's called solipsism.
Solipsism. That's the first time I've heard of that.
I can't even fucking pronounce that shit. What? Excuse me. What? Okay.
Solipsism is pretty much like your mind is the only verifiable mind of what's really happening, and like that's it. Like whatever you perceive of something is factual to you, but yet it's not. It's subjective.
Yeah, it's like sticking your hand in a toaster and going, "Oh yeah, this bitch is hot." Oh,
why would you stick your hands in a toaster? That's my question.
Wait a minute. Hold the phone. You cannot tell me that anybody out there that owns a toaster ever got a piece of toast stuck in it, and you go, "Oh shit!" and I'll pull it out when it's hot. You don't give it a
slight
few
difference
minutes
between fishing toast out and stick your hand in a toaster. They're two very different things, Raptor.
Well, you might like Hot Pockets the hard way, and it's just your hands. And so I don't know.
That's why sometimes, I grab a fork to poke it out. Every once in a while.
It's still plugged in. You're going, I got it. Oh, shit, I got you that. No big deal. Right? Yeah,
that's going to be my new status after this. It's like Hot Pockets, but it's your hands. It's going to be...
Hey, wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, well, let's ask this dumb question. No, it has nothing to do with it. What's the weirdest thing you ever put in a toaster?
I don't even know.
Wow.
Hold on, I gotta think about this for a second.
Oh, wow, I got him. Oh, I stumped him over a toaster question. Ooh,
I gotta
wicked. Wicked.
Because I'm genuinely
started from a toaster, now we're here.
I don't know if I've...
Yeah, we're now a toaster. Yeah, we're here.
That was the weirdest thing I put in a toaster. I don't know. I don't think I've really put in anything weird.
You never put in... those patties that you get, potato patties that are round and stuff like this, right? Most people put them on a plate. Yeah, put them in a toaster. It actually works. You can cook them right in a toaster too, frozen.
Oh shit!
Not a hot, people. Yeah, everybody goes, yeah, I put this in. I even put a Hot Pocket in it once too, and it worked. Just took a little bit more pushing the button, but hey, it gets cooked through.
Oh my gosh.
That sounds like a dangerous thing with a Hot Pocket. If you cook it too long, it leaks out the sides and into your toaster. How do you even clean your toaster?
Hey, it's better than what I did to a deep fat fryer and put a chicken pot pie into it. Don't do that. That's dumb. Don't do that. You get bored when you're a kid. You're going, hey, I wonder if you can actually cook it in there, and then you open it up and you poke it, and grease just comes rolling out of it. And you're going, yummy.
There's a statement I think to make for Streamwise. Anyone watching on YouTube or Twitch, don't stick forward objects or things that don't belong in toasters into toasters. Don't do it.
Yes, please don't.
I'm joking when I say I put forks in a toaster. I don't.
Yeah, don't.
That's my bad.
Hey, Mom, guess what? You know why the power bill's up so high? I just keep stuffing that fork in there.
I'm gonna be honest. If your mom catches you sticking something in a toaster, I don't think the power bill is what she's gonna be worried about. It's what the toaster is gonna be doing after it breaks in the toaster.
Well, true. It's like almost sticking a fork in a microwave. You just let them
Like,
watch
why is the
little
kitchen
bastard
on
bounce.
fire?
Yeah, why is the kitchen on fire? I don't know. Because the power bill went up. That's my fault. Sorry. No big deal. Not to get off the subject. Sorry. I do this sometimes.
No. Here's the most brilliant and beautiful thing about the podcast is you can come on and talk about the weirdest thing you've put in a toaster.
Oh, shit. And a toaster, yeah. Shit, my first mark of it being when we first started this. Yeah. What do you put in your toaster? Yeah, watch that'll be a new
All right,
thing
I
going
know
around.
I'm asking people next Thursday.
Yeah, what do you put in your toaster? What do you put in your
so
toaster?
Serious.
Please
I'm
tell
gonna
me.
do that.
Please do that and tell me to release it because I would love to hear the things people put in people's toasters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't think you should put things in toasters.
Yeah. Well,
put
except
things
for
in toasters.
toast. Well, you don't
Except
put
for
toast
toast
in a toaster. You put
and
bread in a
bagels.
toaster.
I think
Bagels.
out of the three of us, I'm probably the most boring person. Just put weirdest thing is Pop-Tarts in a toaster.
Yeah, you're right. Put things,
No, I feel,
hey,
I feel the same way. I feel like I really only put like Pop-Tarts in a toaster. I'm trying to think of what I.
Wait a minute, you don't put bread in a toaster?
Well, yeah, no, of course. I mean, like the weirdest thing that I. Put
Oh,
in a
the
toaster.
weirdest thing. Yeah, well, yeah, true.
I think I stuck a toy car in one. I'd stuck a Matchbox car. in
Now
one
it's
when
coming
I was a
out of the
kid.
wash. Yeah, put that baby and watch the spring back up and go, wow, it didn't hit the ceiling. Shit. I'll have to work on the spring.
Well, I guess that's one toy that got its name, Hot Wheels.
Yeah,
That's
melted to the bottom of the toaster.
Holy
Mom,
shit.
you know, the
Yeah,
Hot
that is
Wheels
something.
permanently down there. Hey, logically, if you look at it, it's a slot. You could actually drop change into it and think it's a pity bank. That'd be cool. No? Okay, that's just a thought.
Oh. Well, with that being said, we'll ask you the last couple of questions before we start wrapping this up,
Sure.
if that's all right. Well, one of them you already answered, but Raptor didn't hear it, so I'll ask it to go on. The name you have in VR chat, where'd you get it? And why do you call yourself that?
Okay. All right. So my name is Jake Phobia because about a year ago, a little like I actually remember the date, by the way. It was January 19th, 2025. And I was at a family ski camp with a buddy that I met in VR chat initially, and like I taught him how to snowboard and stuff, so we're up snowboarding at this ski camp. We thought it'd be a great idea to take some mushrooms. And we thought it'd be a great idea to throw the TV show Adventure Time on, and I started seeing Jake the dog while fully tripping out, and I was like, holy shit, I have a Jake phobia. And then I was like, that's a great name. And then I like kind of scribbled something down on a piece of paper, but it wasn't Jake phobia. Oh, there he goes. Oh, he's back. And then
What the hell was that all about? What the fuck did I push?
You see, Raptor, on your controller, there's a jump button, and you clicked it.
Oh.
No shit, Sherlock. Oh, okay, got ya. No shit, but I did. Okay,
I
got
was
ya.
just so excited by my story.
I was going, yeah, it was. That was pretty cool. Jake phobia
And then-
over
and then
a dog. Okay, keep going.
And then I remembered. Do you know the show Adventure Time at all?
Yeah, unfortunately,
okay.
I'm not dead. I might be old, but I'm not dead yet.
Adventure Time.
Yeah, Adventure Time was cool, man. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
All right, hell yeah. Yeah, no, Jake the dog freaked me out, and I was like, I have a Jake phobia. And I was like, that's a great name. So I went from the username Goody Two Shrooms to Jake phobia.
Wait a minute.
My real name is also Jake, so it works out.
Oh, wow.
Wait a minute. I gotta ask. Wait a minute before we go on. No,
Of course.
Jake, because I always told my mom if I ever had a kid, I wanted to name him Jake, right? No, not Jake. Excuse me, Jack, and then his middle name off, and then my last name. My mom said she disowned me.
I feel really bad for your kids. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel really bad for your kids.
I got all girls. They're perfect names. It's just if I had a boy, it's just a boy. All the girls' names are fine.
Well, maybe it's a blessing you don't have a boy. The bullying that poor kid would get.
Well, look at the bright side. You kick ass and ask questions later. Think about it.
I could make more jokes based on the name he gave, but we'll move on from that subject. Would that be?
You know, if I have a kid, I might name him Jack Phobia.
Jackophobia. That's fucked. Oh, that's great. That's great.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Don't be sorry. It's funny. Love it.
Now, the avatar you use, why did you choose it? Why do you use it? Is there anything about it that means anything to you?
I found this avatar back in 2022, and I don't know. I feel I like space. I don't know. I feel like it fits me. I can be a very deep person, very existential person. Like, I don't know. I feel like it just called. I feel like it called to me. But yeah, no, it turns a lot of heads too. Like I've obviously this wasn't always like my main avatar, but I just feel like, if I had to have picked one avatar for the rest of my life in VR chat, it would be this. Because I don't know, I feel like it just resembles me pretty well. And I get a lot of people being like, "Oh, your avatar is cool," and I go, "Oh, thanks. I'm a spaceman, and I'm filled with balls." And they go, "Yeah."
Oh my God, I don't want to say anything about that. I gotta leave it alone. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Jake, for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on and get to meet
Nice
you.
meeting
And
you, Jake.
it's awesome
Yes.
to have Kale Paka to open the performance. Your performance was amazing, and hearing your story was also amazing.
Way to go.
That was really good.
Yes.
You can tell when somebody has a lot of emotion into what they do, and what you did was beautiful. It was very good.
Oh, well, with that being said, we will ask you, if anyone wishes to find you, where would they find you?
You can find me just by Googling Jake Phobia, usually JakePhobia. I think that's right. My VR chat group code is PRCPOD.3644. And then if you're age verified in VR chat, you can, on Thursday nights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I usually have some age verified public instance open where, it'll be titled Podcast Night, and then you can stop by and you talk about, the weirdest thing you put in a toaster.
Opened up a can of worms. What an idiot.
Again, thank you very much. It's been absolutely amazing to have you on. And anyone who is here in the instant wishes to go follow him, please go into his bio and click his links. Both and Kale Paka as well. Both are still in the instant. So please show him some love. And we will start this off. Now the Raptor's here. We'll ask you a question and have Raptor close it out. Question is, what's the weirdest thing you stuck in a toaster? Now that you should stick something in a toaster, we'd like to know. And Raptor, why don't you close this off?
No matter what you're
say a burger.
What? Oh my God. Okay. No matter what, fuck, I lost control of thought there. What the hell? No matter what you do, folks out there, no matter what, if you get a nice shiny toaster or a black and white toaster or even a toaster oven, don't stick objects in it, especially me, because old meat stinks after it sits too long. You have a good one and hope you enjoy the video.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Farewell.
And a lag. That's great. And a lag. That's cool.
Thank you all, everyone.